Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode. Today we're looking at a Minolta, and this is part of the HI-MATIC family, and I'll show you the top, it's the easiest thing. This is a HI-MATIC C from 1969. I've covered the HI-MATIC F in the previous episode. There's a whole range of these cameras. The HI-MATICs from Minolta. As you can see, it's quite a little compact camera. It's great for just carrying around. And there's the view from the front. As you can see, it's got a 40mm f2.7 lens. 2.7 is a bit unusual. You'd think it'd be a 2.8, but no, 2.7. Not particularly fast, but yeah, fine for an everyday walkabout camera. It's quite small and compact. This is it in the folded position. If you push, this is a button. If you push on this green button, pop, the lens comes out. So it's you can retract it by pushing in on the button, and also you can push the lens back in until it locks. It won't allow you to take a picture with the lens in. The lens has to be in the out position. You can see on the front here you can set the ASA for your film speed. ASA and ISO are roughly equivalent. It only goes from 25 through to 400, but that's the sign of the times. And we also have a DIN, which is the German speed index. Back in the day there was no real standardisation. There was all kinds of different standards. The Soviet Union had its own standard called the GOST standard. So this is where you would set your film speed. It's leaf shuttered. It's got quite a nice Rockwell lens. You can see it's coated. You can see the workings inside. This camera uses a CDS cell, so it requires power. It's not a selenium cell. It's a CDS, cadmium sulfide. But again, it's mounted in such a position that if you decide to use filters, and using a yellow filter or a red filter with black and white film is quite common, this will take that into account, so you don't have to do any calculations for your exposure, etc. Here's your viewfinder up here. It's not a rangefinder camera, this one. If we look at the top, you can see there's this camera will focus. Let me just zoom you in a bit so you can actually see what's going on. You can see the symbols on here. You've got cloudy and sunny, which is pretty self-explanatory. 2 shutter speeds. In the cloudy position it is a 30th of a second, and in the sunny position it is a 200th of a second. So when you've got it in the cloudy position, you need to hold the camera fairly steady, because a 30th is slower than the one over the focal length, so the risk of camera shake and blurring is quite possible. It also has the guide number feature. This is before the days of thyristor controlled flash guns. So if you knew the guide number of your flash gun, you would then set your guide number here, going all the way up to 56. I'm presuming that that's in feet, not in meters. This is your focus, so you only have close focus, a single person, sort of head and shoulders, kind of a group of people, and infinity. And there is actually markings on there to show you the sort of distances that you're talking about. So you can see that's infinity. So it's a zone focusing camera basically. It goes all the way down to 0.9, which is the closest. It does have markings in the viewfinder to help you with your composition, because obviously you're not looking through the lens. Yeah, very nice. Top's very simple. Frame counter lets you know how far through the film that you are. Shutter release on the top, threaded for a cable release. It does have a hot shoe, which is pretty cool, and the usual, it's pretty standard. If you know anything about 35mm cameras, most of them come with this rewind crank kind of system. On the back we have a conversion table and easy flash working range. So it just shows you guide number in feet, guide number in meters. So actually it is in meters on the camera lens, and guide number in feet. Nice finish. This is the film advance. quite short throw, very light and easy to use. Pull up to open the back. Looking inside, you can see the foams in this need replacing. Pressure plate. Again, the foams across the back here is deteriorated completely. Multi-slotted take-up spool, sprocket drive, the usual. It's a leaf shuttered camera, so there's no focal plane shutter, so you can see inside there. And this is where your film goes in. On the bottom we have the push to rewind, so this unlocks the drive here, so you can rewind the film. Normally it's locked. If I advance the camera, it will pop back out again, and this will be locked, so it won't go backwards. This is where the battery lives. It's missing the cover for it, and a mount for tripod usage. You can see this has a Seiko shutter in it, so pretty good. Nice little camera. It's very lightweight, but yeah, it's metal. It's a solid construction. A little bit of plastic there. Now this camera didn't work when I first got it, and that's because of the battery compartment. I'm always saying to people, please, if you're not using your camera for a while, take the batteries out. This one had leaked, and being from the late 1960s, early 1970s, it relies on the 1.35 volt mercury cells, which are not allowed anymore. So I've been using, don't know if this will focus on it, this is a Wien cell, and this relies on the reaction to air. You can see there's little holes in the top, and when you buy these they come with a sticker over them. I tend to remove the whole sticker, but it's advisable just to take a part of the sticker off. It'll make the battery last longer. Like this, fully exposed, they will only last a couple of months. They're not like the SI44s that can last years. But I've been using one of these in this camera, and it just fits in. Where's my little stick gone? It just slots in here. You can just pry this out. I'll say it's missing the battery cover, but yeah, this was very badly caked where a battery had corroded. You can see the battery there. It's not perfect, but it's working again now. It's just slots into there. Only the one battery. It's only 1.3 volts for the whole meter system, which is pretty incredible. It's very low voltage, so that just sits in there. In use, looking through the viewfinder on this side, I don't know if you can see it because I'm never very good at getting viewfinder shots. There's a scale down this side and a needle, and that indicates the aperture. It goes from the 2.7 down to f22 with an under and over exposure warning, so it does give you quite a lot of information really. Not a lot of control over it, obviously just having the two shutter speeds. The aperture seems to be doing most of the work, but it does tell you what the aperture is. But 2.7 isn't particularly fast, but it's good enough for everyday use, and just for carrying around it's a nice little camera. Right, let me just put my meter away. To clean that I was using some vinegar. Other brands are available. This is just malt vinegar, and a Q-tip or a cotton bud. You can see here some of the gunk that was on it. So you have to clean up after batteries. If you're really lucky, the camera may work again. But a lot of the times the corrosion sort of actually gets into the inside of the camera, and it's a bigger strip down job. So that's why I always say take your batteries out if you're not using your camera. I do have an original lens cap for this one as well, which is quite good. In use, the lens has to be out, otherwise the shutter is locked. Advance the film. It's a bit like nowadays, you half depress the shutter button and it'll take a meter reading. Press it all the way down and the shutter will fire. So yeah, very straightforward. Right, let's show you how to load one of these. Okay. Relatively easy, so you pull up to open the back. And let's see what film have we got today. We've got some Colour Plus. No, the C200, sorry. When Kodak ever been green? So your film slots into there. This is the leader, you just pull this across, zooming back out again. This goes into the slotted take-up spool. Advance the film, it goes that way. And as always, I like to take up the slack, so you know that the film is tight. Close the back up, that can be folded away. You can see that's returning, so you know the film's going through, you're not going to have a blank roll. And you just advance it to the first shot, which is there. This resets when you open the back, and it's an additive frame counter, so it counts up to the exposures rather than counting back down. And that's it done, ready to go. When you get to the end of the film, and you've taken your last exposure, you push that little button back up, you fold out this rewind crank, and then you can rewind the film. There you can feel and hear that it's come off of the take-up spool. Open the back, take out your exposed film and get it processed. Either do it yourself or wherever you get your films processed. I always leave the leader out because I develop my own films. It's a lot easier for loading a tank, and I would cut this leader off so that I'd know if I've got a film with a square end, it's already been exposed. But yeah, very nice little cameras. They're very popular, the hi-MATIC series. Any of the hi-MATICs are really good performers. But you can see its novel feature is this collapsible lens. You can just push it back in to make it even smaller. So there you are, folks. That's the Minolta HI-MATIC C from 1969, 1970. Nice little camera. Got it working again now, and it's another one saved from the junk pile. It's fun getting these old cameras working again, but it just shows the reliability of them. You know, it's quite incredible. I don't think many of today's cameras will still be working in 50 years' time. Thanks for watching, hope you liked. Comments, questions, etc. down in the comments, please, and don't forget to like and subscribe and all that usual sort of goodness, and share and everything. Huge number of new subscribers recently, so thank you very much for that. If you're a recent visitor to the site, I cover a lot of these old cameras. There is a plan to do lenses as well, but we haven't got round to that yet because we haven't finished doing the cameras. There's still about another 100 cameras to come, so stay tuned. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.